and see our friends there.
Oh, they have a ski shop there?
Yeah, they do. They do. And they've had it there as almost, well, they've had a ski shop.
Donald's never been in it. Donald's never been in it.
No. Well, no,
I was on the roof of the old one.
Yeah, the screening process, Donald.
Don was in the other day asking for Harvey Boynton. He said, "Where's Harvey? I want to see Harvey."
Where was Harvey?
He's having a drink.
Yeah.
He was ubiquitous when he was here, I'll tell you.
Right. He used to start those races in a big raccoon coat.
Yep.
Yeah. Harvey. What?
Well, it was a normal raccoon coat. It was just Harvey was a big person.
Yeah. Well. Were they locally trapped?
Harvey was locally trapped.
Well,
I know that.
he did a lot of local trapping.
Harvey had a trap line.
So, John, what years were you here? What years were you the? Because I remember when you were. Not executive director, but what would they call you?
General manager.
General manager,
But
GM.
What year is this? I have to work back. What year is this?
This is past 2000, John. This is.
I was here from 1961 to 1968.
Right.
But I was general manager starting in late 1964, when Amos Winter the board passed Amos's mantle on to me as to become general manager. I was assistant manager the year, but he was not. The year before that, but I started here on the ski patrol, working for Stub Taylor in the spring of '61. And then in that summer of '61, we put in T-bars 4 and 5 and added the big middle section to the base lodge.
Right.
And so that began my ascension.
The Scribner room.
and then, as I say, I became general manager in '64. We put the gondola in '65, and then I left in '68.
Was it because of the gondola?
65, 66.
Yeah, 65, 66.
You didn't have it open until Washington's birthday of 66.
Well, the crew didn't. I did, but the crew didn't have it. We didn't. I remember a great, maybe it was New Year's Eve, Donald, because we were pouring concrete in the upper terminal on the gondola on New Year's Eve in January or December.
It's still curing.
And we had to have salamanders up there to
keep
keep the concrete hot or warm enough so it didn't freeze before it cured. George Carey was the president of the Sugarloaf Mountain Corporation. He had a couple of sons, one of whom was a classmate of Donald's at Bowdoin. Donald, I think, was at Bowdoin at the time. I had never met him before, but these kids... I was
out of Bowdoin, but that doesn't matter.
And they're very pleased about that.
They were. They were so pleased they graduated.
But there were these kids that came up anyway, hauling 5-gallon cans of kerosene to fuel the salamanders to heat the...
Were they bringing, was it 60 bar up? Were they coming up that way? Was that even there then?
Oh, no. No, we had Quint's Road was built. We called it Quint's Road, which is now the vehicle road that goes to the top. We had that binder. Right. We had that road was built that year, not for the gondola, but because that was the year he put the microwave station at the top of the mountain. So that was, as Don would say at Bowdoin, propitious. They built that road at the time. So we used that road to get the stuff up to the top of the mountain. And they came up, what'd you come up with? A Snowcat, probably, Don?
Yep.
Yeah. But we didn't get the lift going until Washington's birthday.
Tucker Snowcat.
Yep, my favorite. Until Washington's birthday, I think. Wasn't it?
Washington's birthday weekend, you finally opened up the gondola.
Yeah.
Washington's birthday. And how did you get the cement up there in the dead of winter?
Well, in 2 or 3 different ways. we built it's called a batching plant to mix all the concrete together. And what we used for a batching plant was a transit mix truck from K&H Foster down in Wilton.
Right.
And actually we used 2 of them because the first one went down over the backside of the mountain. And that slowed things down a little. We got into Rapid Stream Valley. It may still be there.
Probably cured by now.
Yeah. That's right.
And it wasn't
I
slow
wonder
at
if
the
that's
beginning.
set up in the barrel. Yeah. So we got a second transit mix truck up. So we did mix the concrete up there, and we poured the whole upper terminal from that. But the biggest problem were the towers from the mid-station up. I think we had 9 towers, as I remember. And it's pretty steep, as everyone who skis Sugarloaf knows, on the upper part of Gondi line. So we built an aerial tramway out of 6x6 timbers with a cable and a great big bucket that we loaded with concrete at the top and lowered it down and dumped it out at each of these. And in fact, all those tower foundations, which were about 6 or 7 cubic yards. They were 6 feet square by 6 feet deep. Those holes.
Right.
We dug by hand because we couldn't get any equipment. At least back then there wasn't.
This was before OSHA.
Any equipment. That's right. Before Noah. So we rigged up that thing and we lowered it down because we had we put a winch on the back of a Chevy pickup truck.
A winch?
A
Or a winch?
No, she was down at Tags at the time, actually. And we lowered the thing down, and we almost lost the Chevy pickup over the back of the mountain as well when the cable broke once.
Well, is there any truth that that's where Hoffa's buried? Is there any truth to that at all? I want to get to the bottom of this because there was talk about there was Giant Stadium or it was the top of Sugarloaf.
Well, that would be the best and highest use of that building right now, I'll tell you.
Peter, what was your first year here?
It's 2 weeks ago.
Did you remember?
No, I grew up in Waterville.
Yes.
And,
You grew up?
Right.
I was young.
He was young in
I was
Waterville.
young in Waterville. And used to come up here and come up with neighbors, come up with friends, come up with my parents
Right.
in the late 50s. And
A day tripper, or would you have a place?
No, the day trip. We'd stay with friends.
Right.
My family didn't have a place. And I was in one of these publications. I was quoted as saying, "What I would do is I'd bug people for rides." They say, "Oh yeah, we'd love to have you come." I'm like, "Oh,
Can you imagine
Yeah.
wanting to Roy ride a Sugarloaf with you?
Oh, did you
I
pick
was
the
one
short
of the-
straw on that one?
I just don't feel that bad for Mitt Romney's dog riding on the top because I used to come up here skiing that way all the time. And so what I did discover is if you didn't have skis, they had less objection to you traveling. So I was skiing on a pair of J.C. Higgins downhills at the time.
J.C. Higgins.
Yeah. Sears was highly competitive at that time. And I just leave the skis up here, go up to the side of the road someplace, bury them in a snowbank, and then you could always get a ride easier.
And if he couldn't find them, that's when he began his tradition of skiing at Sugarloaf without actually skiing.
It
was
bag
at the bag.
It was so much more fun.
So that was in the early 50s?
Late 50s.
Late 50s.
Late
Late
50s. Yeah. I'm a lot younger than these guys.
Yeah, you look it too.
Well, you're younger.
I've taken care of myself.
Don, when did you first start coming up?
Oh,
Of course you were here anyway. But
well,
when did you first
no,
start?
the first time I guess I was here, probably 1957.
Right.
My sister, who was 7 years older, skied in the first Sugarloaf Schuss,
Really?
but I didn't have any friends who skied, so I didn't get up
You
here.
didn't have
Any
friends?
friends?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't have any
True,
friends.
that's
I never had any friends. What do you think I'm hanging around with these guys for?
And does that cost much to hang out with these guys?
Him?
Does it pay?
Spend-
Depends on
Can
how
Can you
you
imagine
work.
him paying us? Or paying anybody?
Early 50s.
Anything?
And right through college the whole time?
Yeah, when I was in college, I skied up here a lot. The Careys, who he referred to, used to be. They had ultimately took their camp and down to the valley and brought it up and put it where what used to be called avalanche control,
Right.
which is now about where the super quad is.
Yes.
So I
It
used
started
to
that
stay
whole
with the
habit of
Careys
people
up
bringing
there.
buildings up here.
And so you used to stay there all the time?
Stayed there quite a bit, yeah.
Right.
Or I commuted up by the day.
Yeah, in fact, that cabin that it was a the lumber company in Phillips that built them, those little half-log buildings. It was one of those. It was
Was
right
it
at the end
prefab?
of, it was right at the end of Tote Road.
Right.
I remember. And the maintenance building that we had built was right next to that. And
Well, you
then
could stay there,
George's
too.
sister built, Mary Ray built a chalet, the first chalet next to the Sugarloaf Inn after Dawn and Mary Ann Pfeiffer built the Sugarloaf Inn. They built that in about 60, I guess, because the summer of 1962, Judd Strunk and Billy Jones and I rented that camp for Mary Ray.
Really?
And that's enough about that.
Before that,
we can move on.
before that, it was a nice camp.